Okay, Greg, thanks for being with me this morning. Talk to us a little bit about your experience with sabbaticals, what the Navigator says about it, the importance of having a sabbatical, and some of the steps that are involved in it.
Yeah, sure. I've been in ministry for over 20 years, and I'm so grateful that the Navigators encourage us to take sabbaticals. We're encouraged to take a sabbatical every 7 to 10 years because what happens is it's easy, and this happens in every job, it's not just ministry, but it's easy to kind of find your identity in your job, in your career, and especially in ministry, rather than to find it in your relationship with God. And so I've done 2 of these sabbaticals, and they've both been incredibly helpful for me. I think they've re-energized me, get me ready for the next 7 to 10 years of ministry. And there's like 4 stages to these sabbaticals, which I find really helpful. The first stage, and it's probably one of the most important one, is to release and relinquish. Basically, you got to let go of all your current responsibilities. And for some people, that's incredibly difficult because they feel like without them, the ministry's going to fail, or the organization's going to fail, the company's going to fail. But the reality is, it won't. And probably one of the best things you can do for your company or your ministry is step aside for a period of time.
So step away is the first one, relinquish what you're doing, then release it. Release it to other people.
Right.
Good.
And
What's
then the
next?
second stage is rest and recovery. And the idea there is that you probably know yourself and you know what gives you rest. And it doesn't mean sleep all the time, although for many people it does mean sleep. For myself, like I enjoy playing disc golf, frisbee golf. So on my sabbatical, almost every day, I would go by myself and play a couple rounds of disc golf. And I just found that restful, relaxing, enjoyable. And then the more you rest, the more you recover. So that's the point in that stage.
So that's where you're recharging your battery, so to speak.
Absolutely.
What's the next step?
The third stage is reflection and refocus. And what you do there is after you've rest and recovery, you take time to reflect on how God has gifted you. You reflect on your past years of ministry. What has God taught you? What have you learned about yourself and about your ministry or job? And just so there's a reflection part of that, and then there's like a refocusing, kind of like retooling, like, okay, here's my natural abilities, here's my spiritual gifts, here's my passions, and so that kind of brings you to the fourth stage, which is reassignment or realignment. And so the idea there is sometimes you need a sabbatical just to get recharged and to prepare you for the next, time period for your ministry. So you stay in the same ministry. Like if you're a pastor, doesn't mean you're going to leave your church at the end of the sabbatical or leave your ministry assignment. For many people, it's just getting recharged. But sometimes, and this is in the Navigators, I think we find this to be true a good amount of time, is that it's time to make a change. It's time to change kind of your focus. So I've taken 2 sabbaticals. The first sabbatical, my reassignment or my first sabbatical, it was a realignment. So I just got realigned, and I stayed in my current ministry with Collegiate. Didn't move, didn't do anything, and it was wonderful. The second time I took a sabbatical, I realized that after 20 years of being in the same kind of job, I needed a reassignment. And so I changed my ministry focus from traditional college ministry to focusing on international students and making disciples of all nations. Because during my reflection and refocus stage, I realized that I had a passion to make disciples of all nations. So those are the 4 stages. I find them incredibly helpful. If there's anyone out there, this is something you can even do voluntarily on your own. And I think it can be life-changing.
Very good. Why, thanks for the insight, Greg. I think what I would say is whether or not you're in ministry or if you're in business, you got to find a way to recharge your batteries. I think the steps that you've outlined are very relevant for anybody, and I think it's just a good reminder to us all that working constantly without a chance to renew your batteries, refresh yourself, realign yourself is probably not healthy. So thanks for sharing that. Good luck with your work at Kent State. I know you're making a big difference in the lives of a lot of international students there. Thanks for visiting with us today.